The Oklahoma City Thunder will be here until at least 2050 as OKC voters overwhelmingly say yes to paying for a new downtown arena. $850 million at least, voters say, and the sales tax towards that arena estimated at $900 million.
This election garnering a lot of attention, from the price tag to securing that the OKC Thunder stays in the Metro for several more years.
So let's take a look here at the numbers. 100% of precincts reporting, 71% saying yes. That is a overwhelming yes. 29% saying no. About 58,000 people voted in this election today. And tonight we are bringing you team coverage from the watch parties, reaction from you, the voters, also a deep dive into how this election played out. We start with KOCO's Elise Jones. She is live with the Keep OKC Big League group. Elise, I'm assuming it's a big night of celebration there.
It has been a big night of celebration here. It's cleared out quite a bit, but let me tell you, about an hour ago, this room was roaring as Mayor David Holt took the stage to declare victory in this election that will keep the Thunder in Oklahoma City until 2050. Now, we were able to catch up with him one-on-one to hear about tonight's historic vote. All right, obviously, pretty historic night for Oklahoma City. Results clearly coming in exactly how you wanted it. What's your immediate reaction just seeing, the margin of victory in this?
Incredibly excited for our city. Obviously, a win was a win, but to move forward with this margin, a historic margin in our city's history, I mean, it really represents a consensus. It's a mandate. It's validation that we're on the right track. So, yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled for our city. Just can't believe almost that we really get to have this renaissance continue in some ways for another generation, and we can build upon this platform now, knowing that we're a big league city.
In your speech earlier, you mentioned how the world was watching this election and what Oklahoma City voters decided. Kind of recap that and just how important this is on the level of worldwide, not just important here in Oklahoma.
Well, I think for 15 years, people have considered us a curiosity, right? We're still kind of a small market. Do we really deserve a team? Can we really play with the big boys? Do we have the guts to make the commitment that you have to make to play at this level? And not only to just pass it, but to pass it like this. I mean, people are going to have to stand back and say, okay, Oklahoma City's here to stay. And I love that, obviously. I love this city. And I love that I think we made such a strong statement tonight that this is a global city and we're not going anywhere.
Now the major question left is, where will the new arena go? I was able to ask Mayor Holt tonight, and he said that is going to be the question for 2024. They plan to hit the ground running and planning that. He says that this will change the skyline of OKC and really make a statement, and of course be even bigger than the current Paycom Center. He says to expect about 750,000 square feet for the new arena. Reporting live in Oklahoma City, Elise Jones, KOCO 5 News.
Elise, thank you much. And not everyone was on board with this. The group Buy Your Own Arena has been very vocal against the arena, calling it a bad deal. KOCO's Andy Weber joins us live from their watch party. Andy, a disappointing night for this group.
Yeah, disappointment set in pretty early here at the Buy Your Own Arena watch party at Sean Cummings Irish Pub in Oklahoma City. That began after those early voting numbers started to roll in, showing a 35-point lead held by the yes side. So by around 7 p.m., the expectation was that the yes side would win this evening.
I mean, we're disappointed. This is objectively the worst NBA arena deal in the United States. David Holt negotiated a terrible deal. It's going to cost us a lot of money.
Nick Singer with Buy Your Own Arena blames being outspent is what he believes why 200-1 as one of the reasons he failed to sway voters to vote no to this deal for a new arena in downtown Oklahoma City. He accuses the other side of using fear tactics to secure a victory, that there's no proof the Thunder would leave the city if they failed to give them a new arena under the current deal where the city would pay $850 million. He says that dollar amount is way too big for the city's tax base and that people will be surprised how long they are paying for this new venue. And the belief here at the Buy Your Own Arena campus that even if the arena is built, there still is no guarantee that the team will stay here in Oklahoma City. Reporting live in Oklahoma City, I'm Andy Weber, KOCO 5 News.
All right, Andy, thank you. Tonight, we are also hearing from you, Oklahoma City residents. KOCO's Jason Berger joins us live outside of the current arena, the Paycom Center. And Jason, you've been talking with folks about tonight's results.
Yeah, guys, voters made it very clear they are willing to pay for a new arena for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I talked to a few locals who say this will do nothing but benefit the future of OKC.
Dude, 100%, yeah. Okay. Yeah, they make the town great. I think it's going to be great if they stayed here.
Perfect.
It's really going to pay off in the long run. It's going to be great, and it's going to do a lot for the city. So yeah, it's really exciting. I'm so glad it passed.
Now, of course, still to be determined is what's going to happen with the Paycom Center you see here behind me and where that new facility will be built. In Oklahoma City, Jason Berger, KOCO 5 News. Guys.
Yeah, Jason, this vote is really just the beginning. Now we have a lot of other questions. Where will it go? What's going to happen to the Paycom Center? For the first time tonight, though, we are hearing from Thunder owner and chairman Clay Bennett saying in part, this is more than a world-class sports entertainment complex. Bennett says it'll propel OKC to the next generation. Quote, I am particularly grateful and energized by what this means for our city's young people and the Oklahoma City they will lead and enjoy over the coming decades.
And joining us here in studio is Dr. Melody Rowlett, a professor of political science at the University of Oklahoma. Your students, Doctor, have been studying this race very closely, I know, recently. I do want to ask you about that, but I actually want to start with the person who we just heard from, Clay Bennett, the chairman of the Thunder, one of the owners, who we did not hear a peep from in the lead up to this. No interviews. They were very pointed about that. Clearly, it did not hurt. Maybe it helped.
Well, if you're the incumbent and you're the front runner, if things are going well, then maybe it's best to just let things proceed.
And when you say you're the incumbent, you mean following on the heels of MAPS and a successful MAPS campaign?
Absolutely. And so MAPS is already established. It isn't a new thing that people are being asked to sign on to. It's a continuation of something that they've already enjoyed and been able to see the benefits of.
This is another time in which we go into election night, and the result is such a landslide. I know that this hasn't caught everybody by surprise, but the number here, 71% saying yes here to continue a tax that is already there. Is there anything that the no campaign could have done in your mind that could have made this closer, that could have turned the tide entirely?
I don't know. You know, honestly, I think that they would have had to offer something that was an alternative, a real alternative, and they were not organized enough to do that. And so it was either we go forward and we continue with the Thunder, which are very popular in Oklahoma City and Oklahoma generally, or you know, we don't do anything and we fall behind. Mm-hmm. And so I think that they were presenting something that wasn't a real option for most voters.
And so when your students were going out and they were trying to do some polling as well and talk to voters on this, I know they had a tough time perhaps getting young people to even know what was happening with this.
Absolutely. And a lot of this has to do with the way that we publicize elections anyway. This is an off-year election. It's in December. You know, and this is, you know, right now the, you know, students are taking finals right now. But, you know, we also have just the fact that younger people are thinking about Christmas and they're thinking about maybe their own family. They're not thinking about local politics.
You know, it's interesting, though, when we pop up some of the results, and we were taking a look back at some of these notable December votes. For example, the MAPS votes, which the majority of them are happening in December. If we have that, I'd love to point it out because the first MAPS, if you look back there, MAPS 1 in 1993, these all were in December, by the way. You see 54% yes. In 2009, MAPS 3, 54% yes. And then MAPS 4, 72%. Today, 71%. When you go to that and you see that jump, if you are a city planner, if you're a politician, if you're somebody who's trying to make big plans for the city, you see that number and you think what?
You think keep the faith, right? They took a leap of faith to get MAPS going in the first place, and the fact that they were able to really make a successful push for that means that now people are looking around and seeing an Oklahoma City that's fundamentally different than it was 30 years ago.
We were just looking in the 1980s where vote after vote was actually turned down by voters for public safety, for infrastructure. And now we have 72% of voters saying yes to keep a tax going, to build things that perhaps they might not even use.
Exactly, but you know, it's a penny they're already spending. And so they're not being asked to pay another penny, they're just going to keep spending that penny, and they can see the dividends.
Let me ask you about turnout, because obviously hundreds of thousands of registered voters in Oklahoma City. We saw, what was it, about 57,000 votes out there tonight? Perhaps I could be wrong on that, but it was over 10% is what we're thinking. And you said that's actually a good number, which sounds horrible.
It's not, I'm not saying it's a good number. It's a relatively good number.
Okay.
And so it's better than MAPS 4, which was only 7%. And it is getting close to the national average on local elections. Local elections, particularly in off years, if they're not with a national election or a statewide election, then we just don't see the same turnout and we don't see the same representation.
It's very interesting. Now, going forward, of course, this isn't the end of the road. There's still so many decisions to be made as things move forward, and a lot of that is political in itself.
Of course, and you know, that's one of those things where we talk about who it is that we vote to represent us at the local level maybe matters much more than who we vote for at the national level.
My last question, and by the way, I think that's an important point, but my last question for you, do you think voters in this race were voting because they wanted to pay the tax to keep the Thunder, or do you think the motivations was one of fear? They did not want to lose the Thunder.
Fear is a powerful motivator. And I think that was definitely a part of it. But I do believe that this is a forward-looking electorate. I think that what they want is to see Oklahoma City continue to grow and be a destination city.
Well, Oklahoma City voters have certainly proved time and time again to step up and say yes when it comes to taxing things to keep the city progressing forward. Dr. Rowlett, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
We really appreciate it.